Again, ping is not going to be an issue with these two players as they're playing for the same region. From the same region. Here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tokamak. We have the blue Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss. We have the Canadian Protoss. Oh. It's for Basilisk. It is Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Terran player. We have the red Terran himself from South Korea. It is a Percival. Here we go. Predictions, yes. As we get into our intros, you know what time it is. It is Gamba time. Predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat as we get into our TVP. I often don't start predictions until we get into game, just because if I start it ahead of time, sometimes there are delays. Sometimes players need more time. The veto process sometimes takes extra long as well. So usually just wait for the game to commence. As Percival does move out with his SCV, moving out for an eBay block. Trigger, he is checking for the proxy. Trigger, he will miss the SCV. Uh-oh. And the eBay is coming in. Now remember, the goal here is to delay the natural base. But Trigger, he does double back, spots the eBay, and I think he can still pull the boy. No, never mind. Yeah, too late. Too little, too late. Too much regression. Trigger, he's forced to go for the unnatural natural. Forced to expand here at the third base. It's all good. It's all good. All good. There are times where I have forgotten to do predictions. That's usually it's usually during like OSC King of the Hills for the best of ones, because you gotta hit the prediction button every game. So for best of ones, that's notoriously when I forget predictions most. As Percival is setting up on the high ground. So rack expand out of Percival. And again, Trigger is a little bit more awkward here in his setup. Percival can try to abuse this and can try to go for a Hellion harass or a Cyclone harass and move in and try to force a more difficult defense out of Trigger, as he's going to be spread thin. And we'll see how Percival does approach this. So now we are poking in. Percival behind this, going into his 1-on-1, setting up for what looks to be potentially an add-on swap. Into Banshee play. Oh, no, never mind. Opening up Cyclone and settling in. From the side of Trigger, we have a standard setup here, going into a Twilight Council, into Blink, into most likely 3 gateways. I would say it's going to be wise for Trigger to play safely just because of his base setup. To go for a safer build. And we can settle into Tokamak. Winding it back here, Tokamak is one of the larger maps of the map pool. Larger map, longer rush distance by ground, more defendable on 3-4 bases. I do favor Trigger getting into a longer game on this map. And, oh, we do snipe one of the Stalkers. Nicely done. I do feel like the pressure is going to be on Percival to try to end things a little bit earlier instead. Oh, no! As Trigger does miscontrol, we'll bleed out a second Stalker. That's 2 Stalkers going down. Trigger gets to get the hell out of here. Oh, as the Stalkers are so low. Oh, my God. He's going to get chased down. Oh! Losing everything. All 4 Stalkers do fall. Very nice snipes here by Percival. Preserves the Cyclone. Does overwhelm. Behind this, we do have a Trigger getting to his own Robo. Again, Robo on 2 bases. Gas is on 2 bases as well. Delaying his 3rd base. Intentionally so. As the drop is moving in. So he does get into the mineral line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Jesus, gets quite a lot of damage done in the main base. 5 probes going down. Trigger out of position. Up to 9 probe kills. Oh my god, 11 probes go down. Trigger just getting torn apart. And we spoke about this. Why is he getting torn apart? He was at his natural. And his natural is just so far away. Oh, and we don't get 9. We get up to 12 probes going down. Ay. Brutal damage here. Percival does take a lead. And Percival expands. He does expand. Looking very comfortable here. And again, Trigger just having a hard time defending both locations at once. Doesn't help they lost 4 Stalkers early on, so we had that much less to defend. Otherwise, he could have had a split army. Percival swapping off, going into mech. Of course he is. Again, mech is something that we've been seeing a lot of in PvT. If you haven't been watching over the past couple of months, players like Clem, players like Gabe, players like Maru, Cure, Bunny, a lot of the top Terran players are playing mech against Protoss. Not all, but most of them. I mentioned it before, that's why I was curious about Spirit in his matchup, because I don't think I've seen Spirit play mech against Protoss, and we haven't seen Bjorn. Bjorn, he doesn't play mech against Protoss either. So there's like a couple of exceptions to the rule. There's like a couple of Terran players that don't play mech, but most have been. Trigger works forward at the same time. We do have Major harass in the main base. Thankfully, the Sun Trigger is ready. Does deflect. Meanwhile, we have Battle Mech on the way, getting to Mass Hellion Cyclone. Going for a more momentum-based composition to be more active. There are different forms of mech that are viable against Protoss. So you can go into this, or you can go into a more tank-heavy style and turtle up instead. And just be hyper defensive. Do see Percival just walling up. And at this point, Trigger, he's aware. At this point, he's aware. He saw the Hellions, saw the extra Cyclones, saw the tanks. Trigger getting into a very gateway heavy composition. Like to see Bjorn play mech. Bjorn, he plays mech against Zerg. He doesn't play mech against Protoss. But if you watch his ZVT like he does, or he has whipped out the mech before. Nice time with the Banshees. Trigger does rally. Pushing into the siege line is not going to be easy. Trigger, he's looking for another way in. He avoids the third base, rotates over towards the natural. Looking for a better angle. He gets spotted. Hellbats a reposition. Diving on the tanks. He gets one. One tank goes down. He gets the second tank as well. Yeah, Cyclones are rallying into the main base. Boys are being pulled. And Percival, he will hold. But it will cost him. He holds, he defends. Percival, he will shut this down, but he will lose 15 SCVs. Still ahead economically. Ooh, going for the warp into the main. But the main armor was dealt with. And Trigger, he needs more damage. This is still not good enough. Oh god, yes, he believes that's too much. Oh no, the Prism, no! Prism does barely not get away. Trigger, he will lose everything. And Trigger, he is still behind economically here. Trigger, he has a slight worker lead, but he's even on bases, and mules are a factor. Trigger, he needs a fourth. It's a late fourth base. This is a late fourth base. Basically, Trigger, that was meant to kill. That was meant to kill. That was meant to end the game, and he was unable to. Now Trigger falls behind. So late fourth base for Trigger. Trying to get into his upgrades, trying to tech up. He is still quite reliant on the gateway composition. And here comes the counterattack. Yeah, Percival was just snowballing out of control. He's pushing, and there's not much to stop him. I don't blame Trigger for going for the all-in. Remember, he had just a worse start. It was just a worse start for Trigger. As he lost his Stalkers, he lost, what was it, 12 pros at the start of the game? 20 in total, Jesus. Zealots they get dealt with by the Hellbats. And Percival, he shuts down the expansion. Denies the 4th base. Trigger, he falls behind, he stays behind. And he's trying to keep up. Yes, Percival, he's just pulling Trigger apart. So Banshee into the mineral line as well. And we're just rallying at this point. At this point, we're just rallying. At this point, Percival is moving in. What do you do versus mech as Protoss? Typically, I mean, the composition is fine for Trigger. The problem is that he's being outscaled because he went for an all-in that failed. And remember, he went for the all-in because Trigger lost so many probes and so many Stalkers leading up to this. So Trigger, he fell behind, so he felt pressured to just all-in. But all-inning a turtling player is so difficult. It's so difficult to do. Like Percival, he pulled the boys, he defended well. But yes, ideally you do want to go for this mobile composition of Stalker, Zealot, Archon, Immortal. You can support with Storm, but you want this like cheaper mobile army. To engage, to keep up, you want to gain map control, get a faster 4th base, get a faster 5th base. But it was just a really rough start for Trigger. And Percival, he shouldn't be able to end the game here, but he's rallying. Yeah, never mind. he's rallying across. Oh. Easy overextending. We have more Zealots. Trigger, he's still trying to hold on. Stalkers are being chased down. Trigger, he cannot escape. Stalkers, they try to blink away, but they still go down regardless. And Percival just has to consolidate. Just back off, consolidate his army, and then push. Then go for the kill. Yeah, and Percival is getting a 4th. Trigger does not. Doesn't have one. Just now throwing one down. Trigger tries to make his final stand. He has micro potential. He's got the Prism. Prism is out. Oof. Snipe on the sentries. Hellbat's morphing in. And Percival trying to go for the nail in the coffin here. He does lock onto the Prism. Prism goes down as well despite the NG overcharge. And it's barely not killing Trigger. Barely not. Trigger, he's surviving. He's treading water, man. Treading water. He's holding on. Unfortunately here at Percival, he's up 20 workers. He's up 20 workers. He's up an expansion. He's muling as well. There's no pressure on Percival. He can just calm down. He can just back off, calm down, max out, and then push. Just calm down, calm down. From the side of Trigger, his hope here would be to force some mistakes out of his opponent if Percival maybe overinvests into these drops. And if he loses them, if he does lose them, if they're not efficient, over time, Trigger, he can recover. Likewise, Trigger, he can try to be greedy and try to take up into Sky Toss. He'd be cutting a lot of corners and his arm would suffer, but it's something you can try to go for. Again, you go do something crazy here. That's going to be another 18 probe kill. 19! 19 probes going down. There's not much the Trigger can afford. Trigger, he is reprobing, resaturating Liberator arrives once again to deny mining. With the Bay on the way, it's going to be for Colossus. Percival, he's still committing to Battle Mech. He's still not switching into like a more tank-heavy style. I don't think he needs to, though. It's fine. Cleans up all the Zealots. He wants a Prism. Prism gets chased down, which means we cannot save the Immortals. Oh. Percival has to pull away. Does pull away. Here comes the second wave. Now switching into Widow Mines, into Drilling Claws. Oh, Jesus. The lock-ons are brutal. Oh my god. Stalkers, they cannot get away. You can't leave, man. You can't leave. Jesus. As here we're down to our last. We're down to our final warp in. GG gets called, and Percival, he will take the game. He will take a lead in the series. GG. Whew, GG, well played. Again, a very strong start out of Percival. Winding it back, just as a reminder how things opened up. Trigger, he was forced to expand at the third base location, so he was spread thin. After he expanded there, he was hyper aggressive with 4 Stalkers. If you remember, he lost the early 4 Stalkers, so he had less supply to work with, and he was torn apart trying to defend. He lost a lot of probes early on, a lot of workers, which led into Trigger deciding to go for an all-in. He did decide to go for the all-in. In the aftermath of that, the all-in failed. He was unable to break Percival. Percival, who's going into mech, he was very, very fortified on 3 bases. And Trigger, he committed hard to try to break him. He traded. He killed a lot of workers. It wasn't enough. He killed a lot of workers. He was still behind economically, still down in army. And from there, GG. GG, well played. With that, we're now getting into game number 2. And we'll see if Trigger can bounce back and force the ace match. We'll see if Percival can take it from here. So we're getting into that second game. Going to be loading into Ultra Love. Let's go. Let's go. Likewise, we'll see if we mech it up again. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player. We have the Red Terran representing himself. Currently teamless, leading the series 1-0. It is a Percival. We go. Here we go. From here we are settling in, and we'll see again if Percival does commit into that mech style again. He doesn't have to, but it has become a very viable option here in this matchup that players have been embracing that much more. Percival once again going for the eBay block, this time a faster scout. This time Trigger, he pulls the boys and he will expand on location. Basically, last game, the scout, the realization that there was an eBay on the way was too late. It was too late for Trigger. This time he sees it early, so he can punish it early and Trigger can expand. So a better start for Trigger. The SCV is forced back and this eBay will be cancelled. Here we are building up. Once again, double gas to open out of Percival, going for a faster factory. This is indicative of a more tech-heavy style into a faster starport. It can lead into mech. Doesn't have to, but it is kind of a path that we can follow. Ooh, as Percival does not expand. Jesus. Typically, this would be a factory into CC. No expansion. One base all in. Okay. Hyper aggressive here out of Percival, going for the 1-1-1. Hallucination goes in. Trigger, he will see no expansion on low ground, and a starport is already on the way. Trigger, he sees how committed Percival is, and we got to set up defensively. We got to set up. We need gateways. We need a defensive production as well. Shield battery is already on the way. Shield battery here at the natural, as this is going to hit hard. Now it looks like Percival, he is expanding behind this. That doesn't take away from how aggressive this is. As Percival, he is rallying. Thankfully, Trigger is aware. And Trigger does open charge. Okay, charge is the safe way to play. Does open charge, goes for a gateway explosion, getting himself 4 gate setup, so 4 gate charge out of Trigger. Percival moving in. Now Trigger, this is unfortunately the hallucination just went down. Trigger, he doesn't know that this is not a one base all in. Like, Percival is expanding, so Trigger, he's reacting quite hard to this. Dropping to the main, avoids the shield battery, goes to the mineral line. It's going for the probes. Yeah, voids are being pulled. That's going to be a lot of probes going down. Oof. It's going to be 5 probe kills already. I say 5, getting it to 7, getting it to 8. Oh no! 8, 9 probes going down. 10 probes. Can we get 11? Barely not. 10 workers do full. Ay, ay, ay. Brutal damage. And behind this, Percival is not done. Remember, with the 1-1-1 and going into Cloak Banshee. It's almost ready. First Banshee's moving out. Back at home, 0 detection. So this does happen from time to time, but a lone single Banshee can end the game. There's no Robo, there's no Stargate, there's no nothing. So 0 ways to detect. And Cloak is finishing up in 7 seconds. Oh boy. Yeah, Trigger, he goes for the counterattack. He has to try to end the game here and now. Nice control. First way pulls back. He pulls back. The Marines will go down. At the same time, here comes a Banshee. Thankfully, there's a shield battery. Shield battery does defend. This Banshee will also defend back at home, though. Remember, no detection. Robo's still on the way. And the shield battery is running out of energy. Oof. Stalker's being chased down. There's the NG overcharge. Again, there's still no detection. there's still no observer. The shield battery is doing what it can. 4 probe kills. And here comes the main army. Main army's pushing. 5 probes going down and denied any kind of mining here in the main base. 7 probe kills. We're still racking up. Charge does help. As you can see here, we might even just get the first tank. Yeah, first tank does go down. Nice pickup. Trigger, he's holding. Trigger, he's holding on here against the main army. Again, early charge is paying off. Oh, ooh, takes down the full medevac. But the Banshee's still going ham. Oh god, no. 14 probes. This is all one Banshee, by the way. This one Banshee has 14 kills. The one Banshee. And Percival takes a massive lead. He's ahead economically. He has mules. He has more workers. He has a faster 3rd CC. So Percival has a very comfortable lead. And the Banshee even survives. The Banshee gets away. No, we have more Banshees coming in. Oh god. Oh, finally the one Banshee goes down. Had 14 kills. Observer has arrived. Someone give NG recharge to the Banshee. I mean, Banshees, they cloak for a long time. Like, cloak does not drain too quickly. And we're going to mech from here. We're getting to mech. Mech is on the way. And Percival, he's ahead economically and he's playing mech. That's a dangerous combo there. Oh god. As Percival from here, he can kind of do what he wants. He doesn't have to push. He doesn't have to move out. He can just chill, get a third base, build up on 3 bases, get a 4th base, and just turtle back at home. But he's going to battle mech, so he's going for a more active style. From the side of Trigger, the pressure is on. He has to do something to recover in this game. Last game, he was forced into an all-in. Here, he might feel pressure to do the same. Might feel pressure to go for another all-in. But again, all-inning a meching player, it's not easy. Not easy. As Banshees, they're still sarking around. 2 Banshees, they can one-shot probes. They activate Cloak. Where's the Observer? It's here at the natural. Banshees, they hit the 3rd. Remember, there's no blinks, so Immobile Army, and we're going to lose all these probes. Yeah, all these workers are going to go down. That's going to be another 8 probe kills. 0 mining at the 3rd base. Ay, ay, ay. Banshee gets away. Remember, no blink. Remember, there's no blink for these stalkers. So we can just keep going. Yeah, we just keep on going. The flyby continues. 12 probes. Giving it 15. 16 probes going down. The Banshees, they get cleaned up. That's going to be 17 probe kills. And Trigger, if he wasn't all in before, he has to go all in now. But like, what is he all in with? It's the problem. There's nothing. He's got 4 gates. He's got 4 gateways. He can warp in 4 units at a time. There's no warp prism, so there's no way to reinforce across the map. Percival, just in case. he knocks down the tower. He knows that the one thing to be concerned about is an all-in, so he just fully walls off, knocks down the tower, throws down Sim City, walling off the mineral line, setting up defensively. This is the correct thing to do. Just make sure if Trigger does all in, Percival, he'll be ready for it. Percival will be ready. Put a cannon in your mineral line? I mean, technically there is a forge. There is, technically. I mean, ideally you want to be able to defend without that, but because if you recall, the early tech was charge, not blink, so again, stalkers were less mobile. You had to rely on charge early on. You only had the 1 observer. Like, it's been shaky, man. It's been shaky. Once again, early game was heavily in favor of Percival. Snipes the observer. I believe that was the 1 and only observer as well. The 1 and only. And now we can just move in. Yeah, Trigger, he just cannot fight this head on. No, the immortal goes down. And Percival from here, he just snowballs out of control. Lands the anti-armor missile. That's moving in. Yo, we got the vanilla Marines. Let's go. The 0-0 stimulus Marines. Send it, Patty. Send it. Colossus has arrived and has potential here, but there's still a wall of tanks. Cyclones, they go for the lock-on, they chase down the Prism. Prism does go down. No more juggling, no more control. And Percival, he just snowballs out of control from here. Splits up his army, hits a 3rd base in the natural, tanks are moving in. The 1 Colossus trying to hold on, but the lock-ons, I mean, they lock on. and with that, GG gets called. Percival, he does claim the series 2-0, advancing on to the next round. GG. GG, well played, congratulations Percival. He does pop off both in game 1 and in game 2. I will say that Trigger, he, again, as we mentioned before, he did have a bit of an overreaction here in game 2. Winding it back, Trigger, he scouted the 1-1-1, but Percival did not go for a 1-base all-in. He went for a delayed CC. So Trigger, what was his response? Going into charge, which would have been ideal against a 1-base all-in. Like charge, they trade so well against ground-based units early on, and we saw him even catch a tank early on as well, but instead it was the early drop play. We saw that Trigger was out of position, and that led into the Cloak Banshee follow-up. If you remember, the early drops killed, was it 8 or 9 probes? I want like 8 or 9 workers went down early on to the first drop, then the Banshees followed that up. Because of the build of choice, likewise late robo, late detection out of Trigger, so he was not ready for any kind of Banshee play, and the Banshees, they sealed the deal. They they ensured that Trigger could not macro out of it, so he could not get out of that kind of game state. There was no way out for Trigger, and GG, well played with that. Congratulations to Percival, as it'll claim the series. And with that, Percival, he gets his revenge as well. Gets his revenge, has been embracing, of course, more mech as of late. For good reason. SS pretty good. Can be pretty good. But I also want to emphasize that for both game 1 and game 2, it wasn't necessarily the mech that really won Percival the game. It was the early game aggression, the early game damage that was being dealt, which had nothing to do with the mech. I'm referring to all the workers falling here to the Cloak Banshee, to the early Cyclone Marine drop. Also in game 1, referring to the early damage dealt, likewise by the Stalkers getting caught out by the drop in the main base as well. So like a lot of damage was dealt early on. We speak about this all the time. TVP is very momentum based. It's very momentum based, and it goes both ways. But if you deal damage early on, it can be really, really difficult to recover from that. Early game damage, it means that much more because you have less workers to actually work with. So it slows you down quite heavily, and it's hard to catch up. So again, just a solid early game out of Percival. Took a lead every game early on, and with that, did snowball out of control. And with that, we're now going to be catching up with our next portion of the bracket here. Exclamation mark B in the chat to have a look at the Wikipedia page yourselves, but I will give you a link to the challenge bracket. Bam, there we go. In the challenge brackets, we are going to be heading on down to the... We're still in the upper brackets, but we're moving down to UD Soldier versus Shameless. Let's go. So we have UD Soldier versus Shameless, and that leads into Cham for the next series. We're going to be going on a short break as we have 3 matches left here tonight, so we're halfway through, or just over halfway through the broadcast. So we have a PvP, this leads into Cham, and we also have a Hearthstone versus Mute after the Cham series as well. So we're going to be going on a short break. When we come back, we'll have some more StarCraft. See you then, Pappy. See you then.